Now it is time for the greatest obituary that I've read in recent memory. It is ironic that Trey found this and sent it because I think this will actually be the template that we use for your eventual obituary. Because, in the words of the great Keanu Reeves, none of us is getting out of here alive. So we might as well enjoy it while we're here. Mm-hmm. And that includes going out with a really bitchin' obituary, right? So I would like to introduce to you a man by the name of Robert Adolph Boehm.
Adolph.
Clearly, Mr. Boehm had a lot to overcome in his life. Not only what looks to be a stroke based on the photo, but also a middle name like Adolph.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind, his parents were very special because Robert Adolph Boehm was born May 6th, 1950, well after his parents should have known better than to use the name Adolf anywhere in his name, but they gave it to him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Go figure. But I do want to tell you about young Robert Adolph Boehm, who was born May 6th, 1950, and he passed away just last week, October 6th, 2024. And like I said, it really is, I think, a template to how we should all structure our obituaries. Are you ready?
Yeah, R.I.P. Adolf.
Really? Robert Adolph Boehm, in accordance with his lifelong dedication to his own personal brand of decorum, muttered his last unintelligible and likely unnecessary curse on October 6, 2024. Shortly before tripping backward over some stupid mother thing and hitting his head on the floor. Robert was a Texas man. Robert was born in Winters, Texas, to the late Walter Boehm and Betty Smith on May 6, 1950, after which God immediately and thankfully broke the mold and attempted to cover up the evidence.
Wow.
Raised Catholic, Robert managed to get his wife Diane pregnant 3 times, fast enough to just barely miss getting drafted into the Vietnam War by fathering Michelle, John, and Charlotte between 1967 and 1972.
Jeez.
Much later, with Robert possibly concerned about the brewing conflict in Grenada, Charles was born in 1983. This lack of military service was probably for the best, as when taking up shooting as a hobby in his later years, he managed to blow not one but 2 holes in the dash of his own car on 2 separate occasions, which unfortunately did not even startle, let alone surprise, his dear wife Diane, who was much accustomed to such happenings in his presence and may have actually been safer in the jungles of Vietnam the entire time.
Oh, Jesus.
While the world was in conflict elsewhere, Robert made do by learning to roof, maintaining traffic signs with the city of Amarillo, and eventually becoming a semi-professional truck driver, not to be confused with a professional semi-truck driver. With peace on the horizon, Robert's attention somewhat counterintuitively drifted to weapons of war, spanning the historical and geographical spectrum of the Atlatl of 19,000 BC France to the Simbachuk of 1830s Africa to the Mofendigant M1891 of World War II era Soviet Union.
Who is this man?
This is Robert Adolph Boehm. And I would like to point out that I did not read any of this ahead of time. I am cold reading this mother right here. That's how good I am.
Oh my God. This is not good for my chest cold.
Back to Mr. Boehm's obituary here.
I just want you to go back to the France and the Soviet Union, the pronunciation of those.
With peace on the horizon, Robert's attention somewhat counterintuitively drifted to weapons of war, spanning the historical and geographical spectrum from the level of 19,000 BC France to the Sembatuk of 1830s Africa to the Mosin Nagant in 1891 of World War II era Soviet Union. So many examples of these mainstream hobbyist items litter his small Clarendon, Texas apartment that one of them may very well have been the item referenced in his aforementioned eloquent final epitaph. As a man of many interests, Robert was not to be entranced by historical weapons alone, but also had a penchant for fashion, frequently seen about town wearing the latest trend in homemade leather moccasins, a wide collection of unconventional hats, and boldly mismatched shirts and pants. Does anyone else need a break from Robert's? Okay. We'll finish this when we get back. Let's get back to Mr. Adolph Boehm. No, sorry, that's not his full name. It is Robert Adolph Boehm's fantastic obituary here, which, by the way, is real. He was born May 6, 1950. He died October 6, 2024. And I mean it. This really should be the template of all obituaries going forward, because this man's a classic, without a doubt. All right, you guys ready for part 2 of Mr. Boehm's obituary?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Raj, would you like me to pick it back up from his hobbies? Okay. I can do that for you.
This is the best.
With peace on the horizon, Robert's attention somewhat counterintuitively drifted to weapons of war, spanning the historical and geographical spectrum of the level of 19,000 BC France to the Sembatuk of 1830s Africa to the Mosin Nagant M1891 of World War II era Soviet Union. Pull yourself together, man. I'm trying to read an obituary here.
R.I.P. Okay.
I don't know if your pronunciations are correct or not. It doesn't matter.
Don't you dare fact check me.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what he's saying.
You back off, Martha Raddatz from ABC. You just let me have my fun.
It's just the glottal. That's the best part.
Spanning the historical and geographical spectrum of the level of 19,000 BC France to the Sembatuk of 1830s Africa to the Mosin Nagant of M1891 of World War II era Soviet Union.
That one he says right.
So many examples of these mainstream hobbyist items litter Robert's small Clarendon, Texas apartment that one of them may very well have been the item referenced in his aforementioned eloquent final epitaph. A man of many interests, Robert was not to be entranced by historical weapons alone, but also had a penchant for fashion, frequently seen about town wearing the latest trend in homemade leather moccasins, a wide collection of unconventional hats, and boldly mismatched shirts and pants. Robert also kept a wide selection of harmonicas on hand. Not to play personally, but to prompt his beloved dogs to howl continuously at odd hours of the night to entertain his many neighbors, and occasionally to give his many, many, many grandchildren and great-grandchildren to play loudly during long road trips with their parents. Earlier this year in February, God finally showed mercy upon Diane, getting her the hell out of there for some well-earned peace and quiet. Without Diane to gleefully entertain, Robert shifted his creative focus to the entertainment of you, the fine townspeople of Clarendon, Texas. Over the last 8 months, if you have not met Robert or seen his road show yet, you probably would have soon. We have all done our best to enjoy / weather Robert's antics up to this point, but he's God's problem now. Robert's farewell tour will be held Monday, October 14th at 10 a.m. at Memorial Park Funeral Home, 6969 East Interstate 40 Highway, Amarillo, Texas, 79118. We just missed it.
I know. We should have gone.
The family encourages you to dust off whatever outdated or inappropriate combination of clothing you have available to attend. A tip jar will be available in the front. Flowers are also acceptable.
I would have brought 100 and a harmonica.
I'm going to miss him.